All right. So my name is Rupert. Unfortunately, Charlie can't join us this evening. We're members of the careers team at Mind the Bleak, and we've been asked to do a lecture this evening on planning a career. So so a little bit about me. So I'm an F2. I'm currently working at Guy's and St Thomas's. I am currently working on community palliative care, but my end goal at the moment is surgery and probably orthopedics. Now, to give me a better idea of who I'm speaking to and your different levels, you can just scan this QR code, and it will take you through to a website, just so I can see what sort of stage of training you are to help guide the lecture going through. All right, so we've got a couple of F1s. Okay, we'll go on. And my next question to you is, what do you want to get from this session? If there's anything that I can cover, or at least try to, or get back to you with more information on. All right, so if I've not had anything pop up there, if you can think of anything that you want me to answer, drop me a message in the chat and I'll try and address it. If not, let's crack on. Okay, so for those of you who have responded, I'll aim this at mainly F1s then. All right, so I don't know whether you've decided on your career yet or not, or have an indication of what you want to do going down the line. But I just thought with, starting with the basics, just think about what placements you've enjoyed along your career path. It might not necessarily be that you've found the one that you specifically want, but to give you an idea of, whether you want medicine or surgery or a community job. And as part of this decision-making process, you want to think about what's important to you. So you want to think about, do you want to do a lot of research? Do you prioritize a work-life balance? Do you want to go into a specific type of medicine which, opens up for travel, etc. And it's about thinking about, quite on an individualized basis, what really sort of resonates within yourself. Something that friends have tried before is they've had a look at the BMA Specialty Explorer. So it's about a 15-minute quiz which you can put in, your likes, dislikes, and experiences in, and it can suggest to you some recommendations for some specialties you might want to explore. And then when you have a better idea of what you want, it's important to try and gain some experience in it. So I appreciate we've got our majoritively F1s here at the moment. So I hope that you've managed to get at least one of your placements in something that you're interested in. If you haven't, there is always the option of trying to swap with other people in your same foundation school, or even in your same trust, to put a message out to see if anyone would like to swap a rotation. So, for example, I have friends who would hate the idea of surgery and be happy to swap out of a surgical block if they could, or so it's always worth a shot that way if you don't have the opportunity in your foundation years. Then you can also start thinking about taster weeks. Now, as an F1, you don't get any official study leave. So this will be something that either you can plead with your education and foundation program director, or you can wait for F2, where you can organize taster weeks. Now, in terms of organizing a taster week, the more connections that you make, the better, both within your trust, so making yourself known to the renal registrar or consultant who would be able to offer you a place, or making contacts with people at other foundation or other trusts that might offer something that's quite specialized that isn't available at your trust. And you can do that through speaking to your educational supervisor. If you speak to your ES, they may have some connections or put you in, or at least know who to email at another trust or within your same trust. So your taster weeks will give you a little bit of a flavour of what goes on a 9-to-5 job in the specialty that you are interested in. Now, for F1s, you get self-development time. So dependent on where you're working, you can either use 2 hours a week, or you can save that up and use 1 day a month. So in my personal experience, clinical supervisors are happy with you saving it up and using 1 day a month. And, I find that's more beneficial for me for actually getting stuff done, be it working on portfolio, or, for example, one day I introduced myself to the orthopedic consultant, and on my self-development day, shadowed him for and got into some theatre time with him. And then if you're still struggling, or you haven't had the experience that you wanted, you can always consider taking a break between or after foundation years, and that will, you can either locum in a specialty that you want to, or you can take a junior clinical fellow job to give you a bit of an idea of the specialty that you might want to pursue. Because even at my stage, F2, people still don't know what they want to do long term. So they're taking F3, gives yourself a bit of time to think about it, and also prepare for any sort of training as well. So once you have decided on a specialty, or think you might want to go down one specific path, be it surgery or medicine or GP, it's important to start thinking about the things that you can do to build along the way. So I'm going to touch on the things that you can be doing now as an F1 to help build your portfolio, to support your applications for a specialty training job. Okay, so I have taken both. I've uploaded the core surgical training and also the IMT training portfolios that will just go through to give you a bit of an idea of what sort of things you can be starting to work on, and to set yourself in good stead for a specialty application. So this is a screenshot from the surgical, the CST guidelines. So as part of your application for CST, you will have a portfolio proportion that counts towards your overall score, which is around 30% of your overall score. So everything in this is from 0 to 0 points to around 10 points or such. So we'll start with audits and quality improvement. So I don't know if anyone's, throughout med school, you're often asked to do some sort of project or dedicated project time at med school, if not even made to do a intercalated year where you can work on things like publications and such. Now, as an F1, when you're spending lots of time on the ward, you can actually soon pick up, gaps in the system where you think, oh, that doesn't, why are we doing that? We could streamline that easily, or such. So, whilst you can, if you can try and push yourself to get an audit going as soon as possible, it's important that you get two cycles in it. So, as part of the stipulations for the quality improvement and clinical audit part of this, you need to have a 2-cycle closed loop with having shown a benefit or showing an outcome, and to get yourself top points, having presented this at a national level. So, top points is 2 cycles national level. There's just below it, you've got 2 cycles regional, 2 cycles local, and such. So, anything that you do, make sure you close the loop. You can always work in pairs. One person audits the first side, make a change, second person audits the other. You do it together, you've half the work, you've got closed loop, and send it off to a conference to try and get a national presentation. Now, in terms of conferences out there, there's like absolutely loads of them. You can even get, international quality for patient healthcare, which accepts anything. So anything to do with patient care, you can send it to them and they'll look over it. It doesn't necessarily need to be specialty specific in that sense. You can always word it such that it fits with a medical application or such. So your presentations and publications here. So again, you want to, if possible, the more audits you do or quips that you do, if you can get one of them published, that's great. If you're really interested in research as well, that's good. I'm not particularly interested in research myself, so the work that I've done with quips and audits, I try and if they have a good outcome, then you make sure that you try and publish it. If you're working with a consultant or registrar or as a group, they can help you, push you in the right directions, and if they think it's suitable for publication, then go for it. Now, in terms of getting yourself out there for these presentations and publications, you need to try and be a bit proactive as well. So I appreciate you've all just started a new job and you've got a lot to take on. But if you can introduce yourself to the specialty that you think you might be interested in, and say, look, I'm interested in this. You can make contact and say, I might like to get some experience with you, tag along on a self-development day. B, if you've got any audits or quips or whatever, they're more than happy for juniors to act as dog's bodies and do the groundwork, do the data trawling, write up the abstract, and then as part of the team, you can get your name on a paper as a second author, whatever. Or if you do the majority of the work, first author, and they'll be named. So yeah, try and be proactive with it in that sense, and never let anything that you do or have done go to waste. So everything at med school that I did, I made sure, all right, who can I send this off to? Okay, it's not good enough for publication. Which conference can I send it off to? Like, can I make a poster out of this? Can I get an oral presentation, which is top marks? So don't do anything for free, I guess. Like, make sure you're getting something out of it. And it's also about choosing a project that you think is going to go somewhere. So, you know, if it doesn't sound like you can actually close a loop and you don't think there's going to be a good benefit, graciously decline and say, you know, it's not worth my time. Similarly, you know, if someone offers for you to do a project and submit it to a journal, but the journal's not PubMed, it's not PubMed cited journal, is it worth your time? You just need to think about those sorts of things. Next up, we've got teaching experience. So in terms of teaching experience, the breakdown is organization of a teaching series over three or more cases at different levels, and then also showing a commitment to teaching over a 6-month period, I believe, or something like that. So as an F1, you know, you can get involved with med student teaching. Most trusts will have if you're a teaching hospital or involved with any med students, will have connection with the undergraduate centre, and you can put yourself forward to help out with, you know, weekly OSCE teaching or on the ward teaching. So put yourself about for that. And you know, one of the things that I did during med school was, you know, and my friends had done, they'd got together as a group of friends as junior doctors and put together a teaching series for med students at, you know, my old uni, so that if you get people attending for coming up to finals or such, or like a surgical series or medical series or whatever floats your boat, then you can prove that you've put on more than 3 sessions, you've done a teaching series. And if you on the feedback forms, if you get them to put, you know, where they're attending from, if you can show that they're attending from a national area, then you've got yourself a national teaching series, and you've got yourself full marks. I've just mentioned about feedback forms. Everything you do, again, with teaching experiences, you get feedback. Make yourself a simple Google form that you can send off to med students on the ward if you do any teaching with them. Just say, please fill out this Google form for me, and it shows, you know, you need to have evidence to, as it says here, evidence required. As part of that, you need to show feedback from your teaching. So I'm just waiting for the slide to load. All right, training qualifications. So this is about qualifications of teaching. I think maximum points is having a master's in teaching, or a which is 4 points for a master's in teaching. You know, you have to think about whether you enjoy teaching and whether you think actually doing a master's and all that work is worth, you know, 4 points. You can do a PG cert, which is 3 points, or 2 points for having some sort of formal teaching qualification over more than 4 days. So it's whatever way you think your time is better spent, whether you think the extra 2 points is worth it or not. PG cert, tends, you know, I know quite a few people who've done PG certs. They tend to run over a year period and have I think 5 or 6 different assignments throughout the year, which aren't too pressured. And he's, you know, a colleague of mine said it's quite interesting learning about, you know, different aspects. So if you can get onto a PG cert, it might be a little bit easier than doing something like a master's. So this is specific for surgery. So for any budding surgeons out there, this is showing your commitment to specialty. So operative experience, you need 40 operations to get on your logbook as supervised or assisted, or yeah. So as long as you're assisted and more, either doing the operation or such, then it counts in the logbook. So if you haven't already and you're a budding surgeon, get yourself an e-logbook. It's free, and just start logging your cases. And if you haven't got a surgical job, or even if you do, get yourself down to a self-development day, and start building these cases. Because, you know, I think I made mine in 4th year, 5th year, maybe. Added them in frequently, included them this year, and I even had a gen surge job, because you're so busy with service provision. You know, I think I got into theatre maybe less than a handful of times, so I didn't get a huge amount of cases on the logbook. So, you know, you might think that you've got a job teed up, but, you know, as a junior, you don't get a huge amount of exposure. So get one, and everyone counts. Attendance at surgical conferences, try and get to as many free ones as possible, because often, you know, the conference costs a lot of money. Or if you're you know, if you're pushing out all of these audits that you're, you know, sending off for poster presentations or whatever, you know, you can still get the attendance from those. And you need 3 surgical conferences or something like that. Surgical experience. So this is, you get full marks for having a surgical job for 4 months. You get, or doing a surgical elective. So yeah, if you didn't have an elective at med school or such, then I think you get 2 points for a taste a week or something similar to that. So that's just about how much experience you've had. So now we're moving on to the medical one. So the medical one has, or the IMT training has, a little bit more points that you can sort of get for different things. So they still incorporate the postgraduate degree qualifications. So, you know, if you've got a PhD or master's, if you've done that as a previous degree or such, that's great. Unfortunately, integrated degrees don't help anymore. So I know the foundation school recently changed that for applications, and it looks like specialties are as well. So I'm a bit shafted in that regards, but yeah. So then we look at additional achievements. So if you got an honours at med school, well done. If you have any international any international prizes under your belt, that would be great as well. One thing you can do is look at like essay competitions for your specialty of choice. Some of them just give you a certificate. Others might even give you, you know, up to a grand in prize funds. So and often the more niche, the better, because there's less people who are applying for them and writing the essays for them, which puts you at a higher chance of getting through. And yeah. All right, so leadership and management. So, you know, if you can get involved with lots of different things for the F1s out there, if you can get involved with if you can get involved with either the MES, foundation program reps, BMA reps, anything like that, then that will hopefully put you in good stead to at least get 2 points. Obviously, if you can get a national or regional level, that's great. So, if you apply to be a BMA rep for London, or, BMA rep or any sort of rep for a regional level, that's good. All right. So in terms of, I was trying to think of other things outside of this that you can do to boost your CV. So, if you are thinking of doing an F3 and applying for either a JCF or a locum job or anything like that, then there's some other things that you can do to sort of bulk your CV. So I noticed this is a little brief here, but Future Learn courses are online courses that you can do, which classifies as like a 4-week course, but you can do it online in not too much time, and it gives you a tasty certificate to put on your CV. And you can do things like airway management courses and such. So have a look at that. Other things, make sure that you can make contact with your education team at your trust and get an idea of what funding that you can get for courses. If you can get funding for courses in your F1, that's great. If not, think about so in F2, you have a study budget. At my trust, for example, they will fund one specialty or one course that helps with career progression. So, for example, I did my basic surgical skills course a couple of weeks ago. I'll apply for funding for that. That will look good on the CV. If you can get onto an ATLS course, they're like gold dust trying to get a space on an ATLS course. That would also be great. They may not offer it to F1s, but certainly if you get one teed up for your F2, try and find a connection somewhere, someone who knows or trains on an ATLS course, then you're putting yourself in good stead. Other CV bits, yeah, nothing else coming off the top of my head at the moment. All right, so I'm just going to touch briefly on an F3. I talked about it earlier, but if you come to the end of your foundation program, you still don't know what you want to do, taking a natural break afterwards can really help you explore other specialties. So you can apply for junior clinical fellow jobs in a specialty that you like. You might need to try and do some Future Learn courses to show that you're interested in that specialty. If it's a new one that hasn't really been reflected in your foundation training, and sell yourself to them. It gives you time to build experience. So if you've done 6 months in anesthetics, for example, then you're going to have a lot better idea before applying for ACCS training, or you're also going to have time to build up a portfolio. You're also going to have much more time to start working on that CV, try and get some quips in anesthesia or whatever. So I'm just using that for an example. And it also gives you a break from training. So lots of specialties now are changing to allow trainees more time, and it's less, it's not much of it. It's not as much of a taboo as it used to be, maybe like 10 years ago, where it was very much conveyor belt moving through. And I don't know if you've gone from med school to foundation to specialty, that just seems like a lot of pressure and a lot of time on you. So it can help you sort of get off that conveyor belt, come back in refreshed into a training post. Can have financial benefits as well. because for you personally, because obviously locuming rates are a lot higher than what you currently get from the NHS, and you know it also gives you time to travel and work abroad if you want to. And you know, being able to work in a different healthcare setting and see how different systems works. I know it sounds corny, but can open your eyes to how things can be done effectively. All right, so as I said, this is, you know, I'm part of the careers team. We've done a whiz over planning and career. We've got a YouTube channel out there, which this QR code links to, where we have a careers series where you can explore, you know, we get different speakers from different specialties to give you a flavor of what it's like to work in that specialty and how to get into that specialty, any hints and tips. So if you want to, we've got some recordings on there to have a look back through. We will be continuing to pump those out. If you want to have us get on a speaker, then, you know, drop us a line and we can get a speaker in the specialty that you might want to explore. So that is the end of my talk. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat and I will do my best to answer them. No problem. Alrighty. So unless we have any questions, I will leave that be. All right. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening in. Have a wonderful evening. Oh, is there a feedback form? Hopefully the feedback forms will be sent out to you, which will mean you can get a certificate for this. Let me, okay, also as an international medical graduate, I was really lost on what I need for my portfolio for surgery. Can you explain PG? So, okay, so PG Cert, which is a postgraduate certification for in teaching. So I'll just write down in the chat what it stands. So PG Cert. So it's not necessarily in surgery, but it's a postgraduate certification in teaching, which will get you 4 points. Sorry, my pronunciation wasn't great on that one. Okay, so let me just get you a Google form as well. You hang on 2 ticks and then we'll finish the webinar. Okay, I can't find it. But anyway, so yeah, thank you very much. Have helped to apply for a surgical training job. Do you recommend doing the MRCS exam during your foundation? Yes. Okay, so I personally would. So as a foundation doctor, it's generally a less stressful job, you know, than later down the line. when you've got your when you've got like a CST job, for example. So yeah, MSCS. Yeah. So if you can get ahead of the game and get an MRCS under your belt, it's good. If you find a job that's pretty chilled, so you know you're likely to have a community, or you're going to have a community job at some point. You know, that will hopefully be a little bit more chilled, give you a bit more time to revise. In terms of MRCS, you want to be giving yourself around 3-4 months worth of revision. I don't know how, whatever works for you, but that's that's something to try and aim for. And you just want to be smashing past test or MRCS and just smashing the past papers to try and get you through. And is it not a requirement? No. So they've recently changed CST applications so that MRCS doesn't count to it anymore. But obviously, when you apply for your ST training, you will need to have both Part A and Part B under your belt. No, so a master's is a step above a PG cert. So masters, or MB, whatever, gets you full points for the teachings, and PG cert will get you 3 points, I think. So less work, and you basically, it's just 1 point. Where you prioritize. Are there specific portfolio requirements for GP training? I don't actually know. I would assume each specialty has their own requirements for application. But I don't specifically know for GPs. I've just used just have a Google, just Google GP training application guidelines or something and see what comes up. All right. Well, unless we've got any questions, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for coming. After the event, we will send out feedback forms to the email that you signed up to. Once you filled out the feedback forms, you get a certificate. Please fill it out, because, as I said, without that evidence, I can't show that I've actually done any teaching tonight for my portfolio going forwards. So thank you all for listening. Take care.